Hello, hello, hello. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, signing in today with this great time of being alive. Y'all give me a second. We're just getting started. We'll be getting started here shortly. I'm just getting a few technical things together for those of you who might be watching live on YouTube. Hello, hello. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I want to welcome you to Heal With Me tonight. Heal With Me is our weekly session where we all come together to heal, because I truly believe that if you heal your heart, you transform your life. So I thank you so much for being here. I thank you for taking the time to meet with me today, to spend this time on the call today. I apologize. We have a few technical difficulties. I am working remotely for the next few days, and because of that, I'm working out the kinks with my technology and everything. It's all fine. I'm just figuring it all out. But I just want to kind of give you that disclaimer as we go through the call tonight. Last week, I talked about the divine heart transplant process and pretty much why I do what I do. I went through the 6-step process that I work with my clients on, that I've worked with my mentees on. And one of the things that I found last week after talking to everyone and just, getting feedback, I realized that we can have steps, right? I went through the 6 steps of the divine heart transplant process, but the truth of the matter is we have to be willing to work those steps. Common sense is not common practice. So tonight we are going to be going through not just the 6 steps, but kind of what these steps what you can expect when working through these 6 steps, what you can expect when you're doing this hard work that I am so passionate about and that I talk so much about. For those of you who do not know me, I am Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I work with professionals to confront matters of the heart, tell themselves the truth, and live authentically on purpose. And I'm so thankful to be here with you tonight. I have been heart coaching now. September will make 8 years that I started officially heart coaching, even though I've been being a heart coach much longer than that. And as a heart coach, that's what I do. I work with individuals to strategize their lives while also confronting the issues that may cause them to be stuck forever. And we look to get radical change quickly. And I can honestly say that anybody that I've ever worked with who has committed to doing the work has seen true transformation in their lives, starting from the inside out. And that is why I wanted to do Heal With Me. For those of you who've been around for a while, know that I did Heart Talk for a very long time. Heart Talk is my weekly my weekly women's empowerment session where women from all over the world will come together so that we could confront matters of the heart and live authentically on purpose. And so I'm coming back with Heal With Me because I want to take it from just being a talk to being a movement and to being a way of life. I want healing to be a way of life for you because it's definitely a way of life for me. I want you to be able to confront some of the issues that have been holding you, your family, your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents back, and you will be the curse breaker. You will be the one that will bring about all the change. But in order for that to happen, we have to be willing to heal. We have to be willing to, like they did with Katrina, we have to be willing to confront the breaches that are in the levees that are protecting us, that the walls that we have built around us. We have to confront those cracks, those breaches, and the areas where there are walls where there may need to be gates. We have to bring about that change in your life too. So it's just so many different things. And that's why I feel like we need to all heal together. We all need to be in a space where we're willing to confront whatever it is that we're going through and deal with it so that we can live the lives that God has created us to live. When I first gave my life to Christ, I was in a very dire, desperate state. And I thought that I had to be perfect for God to love me. I thought that everything in my life had to be right. It had to be on time. It had to just be perfect. It had to be pristine. And that was how you get blessed. That is how God is going to bless you. And what I have learned over the years is that is so far from the truth. I just listened to a sermon yesterday and it just reminded me of the power of faith and what faith can do. But what I have learned in my life is that it requires faith, true faith, to live a life that you dream and imagine of. A lot of people are frustrated with where they are in life right now. You might be, just getting home from work. You might have had a long day at work and now you're just getting home, just being able to cook dinner. It's 8 o'clock at night. Maybe you feel like somebody else could have taken care of this for you prior to you getting home. So, or you wish that someone could have, you might be in a space where you're just tired and you're tired of being taken advantage of. You're tired of always being that go-to person. You're tired of always being the one that has to fill in the gaps and make things work for everybody else. And what I had to learn was that it took healing for me to change that in my life. It took healing for me to be able to prioritize myself and say, hey, I'm important. so I can do this. I don't have to worry about what somebody else is doing. And so when I think about the shift from heart talk to heal with me, it really has been a shift of um at one point feeling like, okay, this is my gift, I have to get it out. No, now I understand, no, this is something God called me to, and so God has already made a way through it. I just need to show up and do my part. So when you tune in to heal with me, I want to encourage you to invite others, but I want you to know that yes, I'm speaking, but I do want to hear your feedback. I do want to see what you're thinking about it and hear what you have to say, because we all need each other to survive. And one of the things that I'm realizing now in this world that we live in, like, we need relief from this false sense of perfection. We need relief from this false sense of achievement. It's almost like if I can just reach this goal, then everything in my life is going to be perfect. That's not the case. And what Heal With Me is here to do is to cause you to look at all of your goals, all of your dreams, all of your aspirations, and make sure, confirm that those align with the calling of God on your life. And you're not trying to buy that house because you want to compete with your friend. And you're not trying to get that job because you want to prove to your brother on your daddy's side that you're just as good as him. These are things that many of us are struggling with. There are many of us who have been mistreated and hurt and left out over the years and don't even understand. Yes, you might always be that go-to person. Yes, you might be the one that always got the good grades, or always made sure you paid your bills on time, or always made sure you had good credit. But why are you like that? Is it just because you want to be a good steward, or are you like that from fear? Did you develop that way of being because you were trying to protect yourself from rejection, from hurt, from pain, from abandonment? I feel like we have so many experts out here telling you how to dress right, telling you how to, cook right, telling you how to eat right, telling you how to do your finances, telling you how to do all of these things. But who's telling you how to maintain your heart? Who's telling you how to make sure that your spirit is fed, so that you can show up and be able to deal with life, because life is going to come at you regardless. So last week I talked about my 6 steps. If you see in the background, you see I have a few of my books. I'm an author and I have published 4 books, 5 books, 4 books. The 3 in the background are ebooks that have, 4 books I published, and 3 of them are either ebooks or you can order it on Amazon, all books that I published. But last week I talked about my 6-step divine heart transplant process. And that process is highlighted in the book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. That book actually takes you through really like the basis and the foundation of me being a heart coach and why I do what I do. And it kind of gives you a backdrop of why these 6 steps are so important. And so if you don't have a copy of it, I encourage you to go ahead and order your copy, get your copy, because everybody I know that has read this book, be it young or old, be it man or woman, have all told me how this book has really blessed them and been an inspiration in their lives to, 1, be able to look at themselves and tell themselves the truth, and 2, be able to show up in their lives, whether it's in relationship, whether it is with in their professional lives, whatever it is, they have been able to use this book to be able to really confront matters of the heart, tell themselves the truth, and begin to answer the call of God on their lives. So I'm going to highlight those 6 steps really quick. I'm going to go through those, and then I'm going to share a little bit about just some of my experience with the 6 steps, and just some of what God put on my heart for me to share with you tonight. I do encourage you, if you have any comments or questions, you can put it in the chat. And I can, and at the end of the call, I'll take everybody off of mute, so that if you have any comments or questions or anything you'd like to share, you can do that. I also like to let you know that we are streaming live on YouTube right now. We are streaming live on YouTube on my page, The Heart Connections. And if you'd like to look at it live on YouTube or share that information with anyone, if you want to go to my website, theheartconnections.com, and click the YouTube button at the bottom of the page, and it'll take you directly to my YouTube page where you can share this Heal With Me information with anyone else that you think might be interested in joining. So really quickly, we're going to go through the 6 steps of the divine heart transplant process. And this process, these are the 6 steps that I use personally to transform my life, to take me from being depressed and suicidal, bruised and broken, to being able to be able to look at myself in the mirror and be able to see beautiful, to be able to get on this call and be able to talk with you and write the books and coach clients and stay married and not run away from my children and show up with my parents. These are the steps that I have used to get me off of housing and Section 8 and to be a homeowner and to be a teen mom. And my oldest is now 21. These are the steps that I have used to really help me do the things that I've done in my life. So I'm not telling you something I read in a book. This is something that I have lived myself. And these are steps that I have personally used with clients and watched them transform their lives as well. So we're going to jump right into those 6 steps. The first one is connection. The first thing that I had to do in my life when it was time to transform my life was I had to get connected. To be connected is to make a notable link, right? To be in commune with something or someone that adds some type of value to you, right? For me, because I was infected with the disease of pleasing, right? Being a people pleaser, thinking that I had to be perfect for everything to come together for me. So the first thing that God had to do when he transformed my life was he had to get me connected. He had to get me to a place where I could really, really, really lean on him. See, a lot of times you cannot change in your life because you are trying to be connected to the wrong people, places, and things. You're trying to do the wrong things. You're trying to be connected in the wrong areas. You, just like your cell phone, you can have a charger plugged into your phone, right? Like I have one plugged into mine, this charger right here. But if I want this charger to actually get my phone to get the juice that it needs so that it can do the work that I needed to do, I have to connect it to the socket, to the electrical outlet, the source of the power. So when I tell you to get connected, you need to be attached to your source. For me, it is God. It is Yahweh. I believe and I serve Jesus Christ. I believe that he died for my sins. That is my connection. When I made that connection, when I really made that connection when I made that connection with Christ, everything in my life started to change. I started to not feel so down and feel so depressed and feel so angry. And I also started to do step 2 in the 6-step divine heart transplant process. I started to become aware. When you become aware of things, this is when you notice things that you didn't notice before. When you start to pick up on things that you didn't pick up on before. I remember being around people who I thought were my friends. And I was thinking I was having a good time, but I made that connection. And so that connection started making me more aware of when people really didn't have my best interests at heart, when people really weren't really my friends, even though they were wolves in sheep clothing. The connection brought about a level of awareness that truly caused my heart to start healing. And then I had to transition into this time of telling myself the truth, right? So the third step in the divine heart transplant process is acceptance. Because it's one thing for you to notice what's going on. It's a whole nother thing for you to be able to acknowledge and be clear that that is the issue for your problem. I often use this as an example, and I'll continue to use it. I'm also a realtor by trade and by profession. And one of the things that I find when people come to me a lot of times and they want to buy their first home, they'll say, well, I want to buy a house, but I don't make enough money and I can't save any money. And then when we start talking about their finances, they buy shoes every time they get paid. Well, if you're buying $100 pair of shoes and you get paid twice a month, now you're paying $200 a month on a pair of shoes, right? So that $200 a month times 12, that's $2,400 a year that you could save in your pocket if you didn't have to buy 2 pairs of shoes every month. So the awareness step is, okay, I'm aware that I buy 2 pairs of shoes every month, right? But the acceptance is, one of the reasons why I can't buy a home is not because I don't have enough money. It is because I'm not properly stewarding or spending my money, because I'm spending too much money on shoes and any other thing versus saving my money so that I can get my house. I hope you're following me, if that makes sense, right? So awareness is, I'm clear that I do this. I'm clear I go shopping every time I get paid. Acceptance is accepting the fact that it's not that I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy of being a homeowner. It is, I have to accept the fact that the choices that I have been making have a lot to do with why I'm not living the life I want to live. For that example, the choices that I have been making of buying shoes every 2 weeks is one of the reasons why I haven't been able to save the money I need to get my home. Okay, so that's the first 3 steps. Connection, we have to make a notable link. Connect to your source so that you can do number 2, become aware. Start to look at your life through a more clear lens. Be accountable. Start to look at your life like, hey, why do I do this? I'll give you another example. The apartment I was living in before I bought my home, up until that point, I had pretty much moved every year, or every other year. I had moved a lot, like with my mom when I was younger. We would move. So I just would always move. So it was time for me to renew my lease at the apartment complex I was living in. And I was telling a friend of mine, I said, I'm doing some applications. I'm looking to move. And so she asked me, she said, why are you moving? And I was like, I don't know. I just move every time my lease is up. And she looked at me and she was like, girl, you might want to think about that, because I hate moving. I don't see why you would be so anxious to move. Now, up until that point, I moved pretty much every year. And I never really thought about why I moved. I would always move because I would always find an issue with my landlord or whoever I was leasing from. But it wasn't until she asked me that question that I really stopped and really started to ponder and think about, why am I moving? That awareness was kicking in. And then I started to accept the fact that I was moving because there was a part of me that was very discontented and very unhappy with myself. And so a part of me moving was me trying to move to get to a place where I would feel more comfortable, when really the comfort I was looking for was coming from within. It was never going to come from, it didn't matter where I lived. The comfort I was looking for was only going to come from Christ, was only going to come from my connection. So that, is another real life example. I use shoes. Some people don't buy shoes, but you might shop a certain way. Some people have to have 45 packs of toilet paper in the closet for them to feel like they have enough tissue. But there's a reason why it's like that, right? Awareness and acceptance are really 2 major steps in transformation in your life, because you start to look at yourself. It's not about like, looking at everybody else. Yes, it's an internal thing. It's not about so much about looking at everybody else. It is about looking at you and how you interact with everybody else. So when I talk about the divine heart transplant, I'm referencing Ezekiel chapter 36. And if you go to your Bible and you read Ezekiel chapter 36, around verse 26, he says, the Lord is telling Ezekiel, this is what he's going to do for his people. He's going to give them a new heart and a new spirit he will put within them. And he's going to remove the heart of stone and replace it with the heart of flesh. See, the reason why we all need a divine heart transplant is because we have gone through things in our lives that have caused hardness and damage and trauma to our emotional, our spiritual hearts, right? And in turn, if that is not dealt with, it can also impact your physical heart and other physical parts of your body and your life. That's why so many people are discontented in their relationships. It could be a romantic relationship, a relationship with a parent, a relationship with children, a relationship with siblings. It could be family members. It could be you always have an issue with somebody on your job. It's a heart issue. And I love you enough to tell you that if you're the one that always has the issue, you have the heart issue. And so this divine heart transplant is a time for you to renew, revive, restore your heart, actually get a new heart. So with the first two steps, connection and awareness, is really when you start to confront the matters of your heart, right? When we get to step 3, acceptance, and then step 4, which is forgiveness, that's where we start to tell ourselves the truth. Because the truth of the matter is, all too often, we're not telling ourselves the truth in life. All too often, we are telling ourselves lies because we think that it feels good. There's a song out, I think it's called Beautiful Lies. I've never really listened to the words, but when I heard the chorus one day, it just stuck with me because I was like, how many of us prefer a beautiful lie versus the ugly truth? Not realizing that that lie might be beautiful. It's like the Bible says, it might taste good, but it'll turn to gravel in your mouth. The truth is, the truth hurts, but it sets us free. And we live in a world and we live in a culture where lies have been held in higher regard than telling the truth. Telling a pretty white lie has been held in higher regard than someone speaking truth. And a lot of times when people speak truth, they get villainized because people have itching ears. They don't want to hear the truth because the truth is convicting, not condemning, but convicting. The truth will make you look at yourself and say, I got to do better. Even if you like what you're doing, even if you can justify what you're doing, when you really embrace the truth, you know you got to change. You know you can't stay like that. You know you can't keep doing those things. That's what this process is about. It's about the fact that we harm ourselves even more when we choose not to tell the truth. So that's why acceptance step 3 and forgiveness step 4 are so important, because this is where we tell ourselves the truth. This is usually the time when people get frustrated with me when I'm coaching with them. It's usually through steps 3 and 4. It's because all of the excuses that they've had up until this point, why they can't get their relationship together, why they can't do this, because this person won't help them, and this person isn't there for them, and this person won't do this, and this person won't do that. And when we get to steps 3 and 4, we start to realize that's not the truth. The truth is, I have believed certain things about myself that caused me to make choices and decisions that were below my value, that were below what God created me to do. And now I have to shift. The truth is, I valued other people more than I valued myself. That's why I change when I get in certain environments, because I think that those people are more important than me. Yeah, the truth hurts. And sometimes what we think is the truth isn't always the truth. Sometimes we just need to confront it for God to give us the real truth. So when we look at these first 4 steps, are cathartic. These first 4 steps really are like the foundation to like any type of breakthrough and healing, right? Connection, awareness, acceptance, forgiveness. And then we get to step 5, which is decision. See, when I was in a lot of toxic cycles in my life, I would do the first 4 things. I would get connected with God because I was so distraught. Then I would be aware of the bad decisions that I was making. I would accept that those decisions were bad. And then I would forgive others. But what would happen is I wouldn't forgive myself. I wouldn't forgive myself for making those poor choices. I wouldn't forgive myself for the low self-esteem and the lack of self-worth. I didn't forgive myself for that stuff. And so I kept finding myself going through those toxic cycles. But it wasn't until I not only forgave others, but I worked on forgiving myself. Forgive everything. Forgive the dresser when I bump my toe at night. I'm talking forgive everything, because we don't realize how much of a grudge we carry around with ourselves and other people. So step 5 is decision. You have to make a decision after you have forgiven that you're going to do something different. And that decision is going to cost you. That decision is going to, you're going to have to choose. You have choices. If your decision is I'm going to get my health together, then like if you have forgiven yourself for all the times you didn't eat right, didn't exercise, didn't do these things to be a good steward of this vessel that God has given you, now when you make a decision that you're going to change, you're going to have to do that. And that's me with this 20 pounds that I got since COVID. Look, this pandemic, we getting back to normal. I can't keep blaming the pandemic for that. Right? But there are also some decisions that I have made that I'm already starting to see changes in my body because I work these other 4 steps. But I have to make those decisions, and that's number 5. And step 6, the final step, you have to take action. I think the problem that messes a lot of us up is we want to plan, and never get anything done. I'm a visionary. I will visualize and dream big and think about all these amazing things that we can do. But I am also one of those people that are like, don't call me on the 3rd planning session. Just tell me what y'all need me to do and what time you need me to show up. Because like my husband like to say, I like to act like I'm from Missouri sometimes. Show me. I'm going to show you too. But we can't show nobody if we're not taking action. So I'm going to run down those steps again. 1, connection. 2, awareness. 3, acceptance. 4, forgiveness. 5, decision. 6, take action. And now tonight, I want to just talk a little bit about how, yes, and I want to talk a little bit about going through these steps, right? Like, I really want to talk to you a little bit about what connection really looks like, to kind of give you some real life examples for each one of the steps. And if you have not gotten a copy of the book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again, I do encourage you to order your copy. You can go to my website, theheartconnections.com. You can go to amazon.com or wherever books are sold online, and you can order it. I want to say that I saw in the comments, somebody mentioned the victim mindset, right? And not wanting to be accountable. And what I have found is many of us are afraid to be accountable. And many of us are a lot more comfortable being the victim, because if I'm accountable, now I have to make some changes. If I'm accountable, now I have to do some things that maybe I didn't have to do before, right? If I'm no longer the victim, I can't blame others for where I'm messing up, right? And so these 6 steps help you look yourself in the mirror. But it's not about beating yourself down. It is really about feeling better about who you are and being able to, what do they say? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. See, a lot of us give up on life because we have enormous size things that are going on. And it's like, oh, I just quit. But really what God is saying, by faith, take it 1 step at a time, 1 bite at a time, 1 chew at a time, 1 situation at a time. I don't care if 55 people are coming at you. You have to develop the courage to do it 1 person at a time. And that requires faith. It requires faith to work out these 6 steps. It requires faith to live the life that God called you to live. That's why Hebrews 11:6 tells us that without faith, It's impossible to please God. Now, Romans chapter 8 lets us know nothing can separate us from the love of God. Nothing. We're not talking about God's love. We are talking about pleasing God. We are talking about being God's friend. We are talking about God being happy with us. God did not call us to be perfect. God did call us to live by faith. And what I'm saying is it's going to require faith for you to walk out these 6 steps. But I can promise you, if you walk out these 6 steps, you're going to see transformation in your life that's going to blow your mind. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. So now I'm going to recap through those 6 steps, right? But I'm just going to give you a few examples of things that come about when we talk about the divine heart transplant and like in real life, what it looks like, right? So when we talk about step 1 with connection, what is your relationship like with your creator? Do you pray? Do you meditate? Do you journal? How do you communicate with your source? I don't care who it is for you, Buddha, Allah, whoever that God could be, Jehovah. For me, it is Yahweh, Yeshua. I believe in Jesus Christ. And when I started this process, my relationship with Christ was completely rooted in my grandmother. He was my grandmother's God. He was my grandmother's savior. And I feel like she exposed me to him. But when my life started to change was when I learned how to pray. I literally didn't even like specifically pray and ask God to do it. I just said, look, something got to change. I was talking to him. I wasn't even specific about it. I just was like, something got to change. And what happened was I started reading my Bible. I started going to Bible study. I started going to church. Yes, I was still going to the club just as often as I was going to church, but I was going to church. I was feeding my spirit. I had been feeding my flesh, all that stuff, but I wasn't feeding my spirit. So I started feeding my spirit. Your connection is about you feeding your spirit. Just like your physical body needs to be fed for you to move about and do the things that you need to do, if you're going to live the life that God created you to live, you must feed your spirit and your soul. And for me, the word of God, fellowship with God's people, quiet time with God, worship time with him on my own, learning how to do that myself, getting my Bible with the dictionary. And I'm talking reading through scriptures, defining what the words meant. I couldn't use the excuse, I don't understand thou and art and all that stuff. You can Google and find out everything else you don't understand. It's time for you to get to know your creator. Ask him. Ask your creator to expose you to and see what happens. So that's for connection. You want to do things that are all about feeding your spirit and feeding your soul, right? That is very important. That's like the foundation of the house. Nobody likes to talk about the foundation. When people come and visit your house, nobody walks around saying, oh my gosh, your foundation is just amazing. What is it made out of? No. But if that foundation isn't right, guess what? You don't have a house to come look at much longer. And that's how it is with being connected. We want to go, we want to get the degree, we want to get the man, we want to get the kids, or we want to, get the money. We want to do all of these things without the foundation of the source of all things. So the first thing you want to do when you get connected is develop, nurture, strengthen that relationship with your creator. Number 2, awareness. Any of my clients who have worked with me will tell you that I'm very big on journaling. Now, you might not be a journaler. That might not be what you do. But when we work together, that is something that I'm big on, because journaling for me changed my life. When I started actually telling myself the truth in the journal, because it's one thing to journal, but it's another thing to tell yourself the truth in the journal. And every time I'm speaking, and I say that, I say, do y'all journal? Everybody throw their hands up. Yeah, I journal. I journaled last night. And I said, well, put your hands up if you tell the truth in your journal. And I get this. Because we all wrestle with that in some way, shape, or form. Being able to trust others with our truths, right? Can I really be vulnerable? Will you still love me if you knew the truth? A lot of us wrestle with that. But guess what? God will. My source loves me and knows the truth, loves me and has forgiven me even when I haven't forgiven myself. So when I started to become more aware, it was when I started to journal and meditate. Meditation is a form of prayer. It's just you being silent and allowing the spirit to speak to you. Usually when you pray, you're praying out your requests, your wishes and your desires. But in meditation, it's like a prayer where God can speak back to you. A lot of us don't understand that quiet and still time, there's a lot that's going on. It's just so much greater than our intellectual mind can pick up on. So when my awareness started to grow, it was when I started to meditate more, when I started to journal more. That's when I started to become more aware of what was going on around me. I started to pay myself more attention. So I just want to encourage you to do that. If you want to be more aware of your life and where you are, journal, write down how you really feel, get quiet, get still. When you notice listen to yourself breathe, listen to the wind blow, listen to the leaves, the wind rustle through the leaves. Like, listen to these things, because this stuff will make you start to become more aware of situations going on in your life that you would have never paid attention to. And I know you might think, girl, you must be crazy. This doesn't make sense. It makes all the sense in the world when you start doing the work. Okay, so that's step 2. So you're going to journal. Write down your authentic feelings. If you don't trust journaling and people finding it, I tell my clients, burn it. Journal and then burn it. But then the flip side is, have the courage to hold on to it. It's your truth. And that truth might not even stay the same as you do this work. Because there was a time that my truth was that my daddy doesn't love me and my mother doesn't like me. And a lot of things haven't changed in our relationships when that was my truth. But I know that that wasn't the truth. Now I know. I have accepted that that's not the truth now, but there was a time that I did. But doing this work has helped me so much. So you want to become more aware. Pay attention to how people respond to you. Journal things that you notice. Get still, get quiet, pray and ask God questions, and then sit still for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes and just listen. You'll be surprised at the clarity you get up with, regardless of even if you intellectually process something or not. Because the truth of the matter is, the most important part of you is invisible. This body is clothing the most important part of me, my spirit. So as you go through this healing process, you're going to get a lot more in tune with your spirit and the spiritual world, and not be so distracted by the physical world. All right. So step 3, a tip for acceptance. Pay attention to the signs that you receive during awareness. When you hear people you love say things like, you always do this, or why you do stuff like that, or if you notice, like, start to pay attention to how people respond to you. Start to pay attention to how you respond to people. Notice how your body language changes, or your voice may change when you're around one person versus another person. Notice how your heart rate may change when somebody comes around versus somebody else being there. Notice how if you hear certain songs, smell a certain smell, go to a certain place, how you might be reacting to that, because there's so many things that are going on that you're not intellectually paying attention to, that you're not present with, that can allow you to start to accept the truth about your life, the decisions that you've been making, and in turn, start to live better, start to live more whole. Ask people what they think about you. Not everybody, but people you love and trust. Ask them if there are things about you that, you know, that they feel like you can improve. And be open and willing for the answer. All of these steps help you through the acceptance process. Now, when I work with my clients through this process, and I have the heart incubator that registration will be opening up for soon, I'm going to be taking individuals through the school of the divine heart transplant and answering the call on their lives. I have specific steps and things that we will work through the 12-week process that we go through. However, this is just for you to get started and start to look yourself in the mirror. Like, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to go through a lot of that. You don't have to keep feeling like, why does my life keep going through this? Why am I always so overwhelmed? Why am I always so this or that? If you find yourself ever answering the question of why does this always happen to me, you need to go through these steps. Because God is trying to get your attention and tell you something. But the question is, are you listening? All right. So that's three steps. We covered connection. We covered awareness. We covered some tips on how we can get to acceptance. Now, when we get to forgiveness, I like to say forgive everything and forgive it quickly. Because one of the things through step 2 and 3 going into 4, you're going to start to notice all of the things that you have played a part in your own pain, in your own demise, in your own stress, in your own worry, in your own disrespect, and all of the things. You will see how you have taught people how to treat you. You will see how the decisions that you've been making, the choices you've made, have really impacted you being in the situation that you're in. And it's very easy to start to condemn yourself. That is not what this is about. When you get to step 4, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive everybody else. You know, I have had to forgive people who have passed away. I remember when I was going through this process and I was in the heat of this process, I think this was about 2014 or 2015. And I remember I was just in this quiet time with God, and I just was going through the steps of connection, awareness, acceptance. And I mean, it was a tough time at that time because God was exposing me to myself, y'all. And it's not easy. It's so easy for us to get to expose to other people and be able to talk about, yeah, and so did this, yeah, and so did that. But when you start to look and see that you are the so-and-so, it can get rough. And because I'm prone to having low self-esteem and blaming myself for things that's not my fault anyway, it's very easy to fall into that hole. So when I tell you forgive yourself, I mean let yourself off the hook and them. Because the Bible says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. You can't get people back. You cannot get revenge. So forgive them for what they did. Forgive them for leaving you. Forgive them for touching you the wrong way. Forgive them for stealing from you. Forgive them for teasing you. Forgive them for leaving you. Forgive them for staying when you wanted them to leave. Forgive them for being too much for you to handle at that time. Forgive them for being dark and you were light. Forgive them for being light when you were darkness. Forgive yourself for not knowing. Forgive your parents for not knowing. Forgive everybody quickly and give it to God. It might not make sense right now, but my grandma used to tell me something. And Lord, I promise I say this. If I don't quote this at least 5 or 6 times a week, I don't say it at all. My grandma used to tell me, just keep on living. Just keep on living. That don't make sense. Why I got to do that? That's dumb. They make me sick. They get on my nerve. I'm not doing that. They always got to be there for them. And they don't ever want to be there for me. Just keep on living. That's what grandma said. Just keep on living. I can't specifically tell you how 2 + 2 can equal 6 in God, but it can. God can do things that will blow your mind if you will surrender to this process. And forgiveness requires a lot of surrender because you have to trust that where you don't know, where you fell short, where maybe you couldn't figure it out, you have to trust that God is working it out. And that's how you get to step 5, make a decision. So many of us, we hear people, I don't dance around the bush, right? People like to say, stop dancing around the bush. Chop the tree down. I've heard that concept. Stop beating around the bush. I don't like beating around the bush. I feel like when you make a decision is when you chop the tree down. Up until then, you dancing around, you beating around the bush. When you make a decision, you have to choose. You have to draw a line in the sand. A decision is you're locking in. You're going to look at your life. You know, a decision might be, you know, you're going to cut back on some of the foods that you're eating. You're going to travel more. You're going to save your money. You're going to, you know, go back to school. You're going to stop going to school. You're going to start this business. You might not do the business, but whatever the decision is, it's something radical. It doesn't even have to be radical in nature, but it's something that's different from where you are right now. I read a book called The Slight Edge, and it talks about how when you're driving your steering wheel, like I said, I'm working remotely, so we just took a long trip on the road. My husband did not have to take a bunch of sharp turns all the way down the interstate. He had to slightly steer the car to keep it in the lane that he was in. A lot of times we think we have to completely change directions when really we just need to have that slight edge, like steering a car, to keep it going in the right direction. That's what making a decision is all about. You're waiting for somebody else to give you permission. No, you give yourself permission. God gave you permission when he put breath in your body. It is time for you to do what you've been called to do. If you're going to write the book, you need to write the book. If you're going to start the business, you need to start the business. If you're going to do the closed drive so the people can go and learn how to do interviews, you need to do that. If you're going to do a back to school drive for the kids, you need to do that. If you're going to do a drive for veterans, or you're going to do a diaper drive to help new moms, you need to jump on it and get to it. Like, nobody needs to give you permission. You don't need your mother to tell you good job, your father to tell you that's what you need to do, because everybody doesn't have a mother and father here. It is time to make a decision. Stop straddling the fence. No need to be lukewarm. You're going to be hot or you're going to be cold. You're going to be in or you're going to be out. You might change your mind after you make a decision, but you need to make a decision and stop going around the bush. And step 6, lock in. Take action. And the biggest thing I'm going to tell you with that is it requires courage. Everything, even me doing this call tonight, I literally just got in the door. That's why I was a few minutes behind. But I have committed to Heal With Me. I don't care if it's just one person. I don't care if it's the person that's going to catch the replay tomorrow morning on YouTube. But I'm taking action because I made a decision. I made a decision that this is what I know God called me to do. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in season and out of season. I'm going to do it whether it makes sense or not. Will I miss a night? Probably. But am I going to try my best not to? Absolutely. Are there other things that might need to be taken care of while I'm doing this? Yes. And I'm trusting that if I'm doing what God told me to do, he's going to work out my stuff. Yes, I have to be a good steward over it. Yes, I need to put things in place and prepare. However, walk by faith and not by sight. Don't let the unknown stop me from doing what God has created me to do. Just like I don't know which direction the wind is blowing, but I just know when I'm sitting under the tree, it feels awesome in that cool breeze. God wants to do some things in your life, but you have really tied up and restricted him because you have said it has to look this way. It has to be this way in order for this to work out. And what I'm telling you right now is that is not the case. God wants to shift some things in your life. And even though I gave you some examples of how to walk through these 6 steps, they are just as infinite other examples of things that you can do. Now, you may choose to work with me through this 12-week process that I take my clients through, or you may choose to work through it on your own. Whatever you decide to do, I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to jump on it, jump into it, get to it, and don't make excuses for staying the same. Let me tell you something. There are many things that I deal with, and I have to go to God about that I personally struggle with. that I don't have to tell y'all about. But as long as I'm going to God about it with a pure heart and working towards it, that's what true transformation looks like. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Get connected. Get connected. I promise you, get connected. I'll probably be talking about these steps for the next few weeks because we have to get connected. The Lord loves us. He has so much in store for us. There is so much that he wants to do for us. We just have to get in the flow. So I encourage you, wherever you are, whatever you are going through, however, whatever it is that you might be struggling with right now, I just want to let you know, if you heal your heart, you will transform your life. These 6 steps, the divine heart transplant process, will change your life because it has absolutely changed mine. I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in. Those of you that are listening now, those that will catch it on the replay, make sure you follow me. Go to my website, theheartconnections.com. You can find my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, my bookstore. Everything is on the website, theheartconnections.com. And I just thank you for being here. Tonight, we were talking about our 6 steps, the divine heart transplant process. And I'll run back through those 6 steps for you. The first step is connection. Second step, awareness. Third step, acceptance. Fourth step, forgiveness. Fifth step, decision. Sixth step, take action. And tonight we talked about some of the things that you do in each step. Practical things that you can do in each step. And then taking action, take action. Research, ask for help, get out there, do whatever this God has called you to. But now is the time. I thank y'all. I'm so thankful for being here. I hope that the reception wasn't too choppy, just not in my normal spot. So I just wanted to make sure that everything was clear. But I just thank you all so much for being here. And I thank you for tuning in. Remember, every Monday night at 8:00, men, women, boys, girls, everybody is invited to heal with me. So excited about all that God is doing. And if you have any topics or comments that you would like to share, stick around because we stop recording and have a little talk afterwards. Or you can message me and let me know what it is that you'd like for me to talk about. And those can be topics for our future shows. So once again, thank you for tuning in. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach. And I'm just so thankful to be back with you guys and doing Heal With Me. Y'all have a wonderful evening. God bless you. And once again, heal your heart. You transform your life. Good evening. Good evening. I just wanted to, thank you all so much for being here. And then wanted to find out if you all had any comments or questions or anything that you'd like to share before we close out the call tonight.
Good evening, Adelai.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to kind of say out loud that this is so good. It's so rich and it's so necessary. And I've been kind of doing something similar to this for almost for a year now. And the biggest thing of all of it is the consistent work that you have to do. And I shared with a few friends of mine that my word these days is consistency. And that I just came from workout. I was walking while I was listening and it got me through it, by the way. But, you have to be consistent with the work, and you really hit something about that victim mindset, man. It's real and it's almost generational.
It is.
And it really hit something today. So I'm still processing it, but I just want to say out loud that thank you for what you're doing, and just continue to be that voice of helping us get there. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Britt. And I thank you for sharing your testimony and for thinking enough of us to bring Heal With Me on your walk. I mean, with your exercise, because that's what it's all about, not just mental and emotional healing, but the physical healing as well. But I'm glad that you said that the victim mindset is generational. And I think I'm gonna have to write that down, because I do think there's definitely a topic of discussion for Heal With Me when we talk about the victim mindset being generational, because it is. If you have a parent, or you had parents that felt like they were left out, or people didn't think enough of them, or people gave them the short end of the stick, whether it was true or not, if that parent raised you with that mindset, then you were already pre-exposed to that, right? And so being the victim doesn't serve us at all. It gives us an excuse to stay stuck. Because as long as I am holding on to being the victim, I can't make any changes. I can't heal at all. So I'm so glad that you said that. And I just want to encourage you, because the work never stops. It's just like physically training your body. As we get older adults don't need to stop working out because they're older. They need to continue to work out so that their body can be revitalized, and their bodies can be strong for as long as possible. And I truly believe hard work is just like that. Once you commit to a life of healing, the work never stops. I like to liken it to like bumping your toe on a dresser in the middle of the night. Life will always bump up against your toe. You have to be prepared for how you're going to deal with that. Now, you might wear shoes that protect you. You might reposition the furniture, but at some point in time, you're going to experience that. And we all go through those like proverbial bumps in the road. But the problem is when we start we upset because there's a bump in the road, and I'm mad at the county for the road. I'm mad at the workers for putting a bump in the road. I'm mad at the people going across the bump. I'm just mad, 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 mad. And the truth of the matter is, it just takes us further and further back. And, I personally, when I held on to the victim mentality, nothing changed. Holding on to the victim mentality gave me permission to stay stuck. When I surrendered the victim mentality is when transformation started to happen, but it was scary because I was now being accountable in places that I was so accustomed to blaming others. So I just encourage you to keep doing that work, because it is imperative. And I could just hear in your voice that God is going to use you in a mighty way. Your healing work isn't just for you. So when it gets tough and you feel like you want to give up, you can't give up, because there is no such thing as giving up. Just know you can forgive yourself, you can give yourself grace, and you keep it moving. So I thank you so much for sharing that, Britt. Nigel, did you have anything that you wanted to share tonight before we got off? Not trying to put you on the spot,
Yo,
but
yo, nah, you good. I'm not working, grinding, and hustling, but this was so good. I definitely concur with Brittany. I've been just doing some deep inner reflection here lately, and it's been hard. I'm not even gonna lie. It's been hard, but I just keep telling myself that you got to go through this. Is necessary. Like, you can't hold this off no more. I know you don't want to, think about certain things, talk about certain things, but I'm finding myself going through these steps, and it's okay, like, I'm telling
yes,
myself it's okay, and it's okay for you to take your time to process it, because it's a lot. I mean, because we can sit here and act like, oh, it's okay. No, it's not okay, and it's never going to be okay until you start dealing with it, because it's not going nowhere. It's going to be right there, sitting, waiting for you to address whenever you do address it, whether it's, you know, a year from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now, it doesn't matter. You still got to deal with it. You can't run from your issues. You can't run from your problems. You got to deal with it head on. And I'm doing that. You know, I'm working through some things. I'm being honest with myself about my part in situations I find myself in, because sometimes
Mhm.
that's the hardest thing to accept is your part in it. But in all
Yes.
actuality, you know, you gotta face that, because it's like, okay, well, if you find yourself keep going through this and keep going, what is it that's gravitating here or there? Like, what's going on? You know, like where your mindset at, you know, just all different type things. And so, you know, I've been just kind of coming to my truth. My my first lady reached out to me today. She was like, "Hey, Nye, where you at?" I'm like, "Man, I said, you know, I said, I'm in my own zone, dealing with me. You know, sometimes that's me, like, you know, just distancing myself from everyone, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes I have to do that. Sometimes I have to retreat, you know, to really deal with me, like, and
I think she was in a bad spot. Oh,
with yourself, you know, everything, away from everyone, you know, quiet the voices, because it's so many voices always talking 24/7. And sometimes I just got to get away from it all and just shut it all down, just so that I can just, you know, talk to myself. And I woke up this morning and, you know, like I was, all I could ask God is like, help, like, God help me, you know, and that was enough. You know, He knows what that means. You know, even when I can't articulate it, when I can't explain it, you know, He knows. And I'm grateful
yes.
for that, because I'm going through the process. You know, it seemed like it took me forever, but I don't care. It's just like I'm going through it, and I'm happy about it. And I'm excited because I'm discovering things about myself, you know, and I'm just at a place where I'm ready to heal, because it was the time in which I said I was ready, but I wasn't, because I wasn't putting in the work, you know, and if you don't put nothing in, you get nothing out. So this is good. That's why I keep showing up, because I need this, like, for real, because I'm not gonna be. I got a lot I gotta do. Like, I got a lot I gotta do. Like, and I can't hold it off no more. It's necessary, not just for me, but for those that I'm connected to, those that I'm gonna cross the paths of. You know, this ain't just for me; it's for them too. So, like, yeah, like it's necessary. I love this. And no,
Yeah.
big sis, I gotta get with you too, because I'm gonna need you to come and speak at our women's brunch. I told my first lady today, I was like, you know, my sister, she back doing a thing, and I'm just like, yeah, definitely want her to come out, you know, and be this keynote speaker for this woman brunch, because it's time for us to go a little deeper. I'm like, God keep pressing it upon me. I said, so, you know, we're gonna have to we have to get up soon so I can see what your schedule looking like, so I can get you
Okay.
down to Conway for real.
I would love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I would love that. I thank
yeah.
you so much. And you know what? I just want to applaud you for sticking with it and not giving up. I just, one thing you said, I just want to just kind of, I guess, just kind of just interject just a little bit, that it wasn't that you weren't ready to do the work whenever you felt like, you know, you started, you didn't do it. You've been doing it. The work is hard. That's just how hard the work is,
Mm.
because you can't, you you can avoid it, but you can't. It's like, it's like that's why you are where you are now. What you did, when you did it, whatever you felt like was putting in the work, even when you felt like you weren't putting in the work was working you. And that's what I had to learn. Even when you feel like you're not putting in your effort, you ask God to help you. So God is working it out, regardless of if you physically feel like you're putting in an effort or not. Just your existence, the fact that you're still breathing, is you still putting in the work. Because some people give up on that as well, and they don't give themselves that opportunity. So I just want to let you know, like, there are levels to it. It's just like we get exposed to fractions in what, second or third grade. But the fractions that you learn in second or third grade are not the same fractions and problems that you're doing when you get to algebra 2 and probability and statistics in high school. It's the same math, but it's different levels to it. There are different levels to our healing because God knows certain things we couldn't handle initially. So he kind of eases us into it. Certain things he can't snatch right away from us. It'll be too much. So he kind of weans us off of it. That is the way God is. Some people, deliverance right away. Other people, there are things that we have to go through. So I just want to encourage you. Everything you're going through, you said it, you know it. But sometimes knowing is one thing. We still need to hear it again. And when you're always that one that is encouraging other people, you got to know and be encouraged yourself that you're right where you need to be. The Lord is working on you right where he needs to work on you. And he was sowing seeds and nurturing those seeds ever since before you even committed to the process. When I learned that, that's one of the reasons why I have such a fervor and an excitement about Heal With Me, because I realize that I can't stop anything. Like the song say, one monkey don't stop no show. I cannot stop God from doing what God needs to do, regardless if I say I'm going to do my part or not, because he is going to do his part. So I just want to encourage y'all with that. Just know God is going to do his part. We just need to show up. And the thing that is the hardest thing to do is usually the thing that's going to bring the biggest breakthrough. So make that call, put that notice in, do whatever it is that you need to do, but trust God and trust the process. I am so thankful for y'all tonight. I'm going to get ready to get off the call. Like I said, I'm working remotely, so I'm going to go ahead and get off and get back in with my peoples and get ready for tomorrow. But I am just so thankful for Monday nights at 8:00 again. I'm just so thankful for us to be back together. And if you have topics that you'd like for me to discuss specifically, specific topics, please let me know. And I will, share my area of expertise as much as I can. I thank y'all again. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and we will be back next Monday night at 8:00. And please do me a favor and share the information with anyone you know that could benefit from it. And if you have any elderly people that don't do Zoom and live and all of that, please give them the phone number. If you don't have it, I'll share it with you so that they can log in as well. So thank y'all so much. And y'all have a wonderful evening.
You too. Good night.
Good night.